You guys don't have that new series or whatever, but Middle Ground or whatever, but or maybe you don't know, but um, dude, I'm discovering so many things. It's like way worse than I realized. So yeah, just stay tuned for that.
What,
We have
what's it
like
on, Austin? Didn't know about it.
yeah, you'll on YouTube and everything, right? But it's just a geocentrism, like specifically geocentrism. So I don't talk about the shape of the Earth at all, and it's similar to like Relatively Speaking was, I guess. But I realized that Relatively Speaking show was so like in depth and people were kind of lost. So anyway, it's just
And I love that, man. That was one of my favorites. I ain't gonna lie, but this is definitely dope too.
well, it's
Uh,
gonna end up getting there, right? Because once you kind of get to the basics, this is what I said in the first one. I'm like, I'm gonna kind of, even though it's really painful and annoying for me to like redundantly talk about a lot of this basic stuff, if someone watches, I'm gonna try to keep them all really concise. And if people watch it, but the idea is that you can send it to someone, right? Like if you had to send someone, Relatively Speaking, they would have just been like, "What the hell did you just send me, bro? Like I'm not watching this." You know what I'm saying? Like oh, if you actually look at Rossier, the professor in relativity, he explains that based on the immensity of the mass and the gravitational fields, that there actually isn't a variance. It's like they don't know what they're like. Shut up. So I want you to be able to send some pretty concise video to someone where they can learn about geocentrism, you know, and so that's the idea. And ideally, if they were to like kind of consistently watch it, and they're all like like no longer than an hour, you know, after like 10 episodes, they're kind of going to be prepared for, they're going to want to hear the more like in-depth things, you know. So that's the idea. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is so rarely in this conversation do I get like really excited anymore because it's all very redundant, you know. Like we have to talk to these people about the same stuff over and over. But I started looking into geocentrism again to put some stuff together, and I got really excited because I'm finding like all this stuff I didn't know, like that Kepler literally lied and fraudulently claimed that his laws match the observational data, and it was just a computational uh, claim that doesn't match the chart in his own paper. And that Mars, like one example of something that I got like super excited about is there's an observation in December this year. We can watch Mars, and uh, the depending on what Mars does, it will definitively refute the heliocentric model, right? Like there's a geocentric and a heliocentric prediction of what Mars should do. So like we can actually look in the sky at Mars, and it will definitively refute heliocentrism this December. And that's something that, you know, no one's ever heard of, right? So,
what that close this December?
yep.
Does it cost 40K?
No, no,
Is it on December 15th?
no. It's the 22nd or something. I don't remember.
Interesting.
Hey, Dave, I just posted, and for the people listening in the jumbo, the link to his new series is just on his YouTube, and it's a
Awesome.
playlist, so save it up.
Yeah. I'll share it around.
Yeah,
See,
but
Witsit,
anyway,
that's actually
dude,
interesting because,
go.
you know, so this Mars, I think I know the one you're talking about where it lines up with a certain star. That one? Because I did see your series.
Yeah, it's based on the conjunction with the sun.
Oh, then that's a different one because there's a guy, Simon Shack, that promotes the Tychonic system, and he brings up a whole bunch of facts about Mars which don't actually line up with a heliocentric model, such as ticker one is the retrograde of Mars. So when it's supposed to be closest in the heliocentric model, the loop it makes is smaller than the loop it makes when it's farther away. Like if you took like the angle, the size of the loop, right, in an angular size, when it's farther away, it should be smaller because of perspective, right? Versus when it's closer, it should be larger, but it's actually the opposite is
Yeah,
actually
I've heard of
observed.
that one. Yeah, bro, that's another one. Who did you say? What name did you say?
His name is Simon Shack. So if you like go on YouTube and type in Simon Shack Tychoism, Tychoism, he's done like he's got like it's like a it's split into two parts, so it's two-hour presentations about it, and he works with astronomers on it because he's like an amateur astronomer, but he's worked with professional astronomers on it. I think he's got a couple published papers. So I mean, he goes through the whole thing, like all the problems. There's all sorts of problems with the heliocentric model, such as uh, the sidereal day and the way the constellations process through the seasons. There's one where like every 700 something days, Mars will line up with a certain star. But in the in the Tycho model, it would line up with a certain star. But in the heliocentric model, it actually doesn't line up, but we actually observe it to line up. Like, so it's like every orbital period and a half or something like that, that it'll line up with a star. I mean, I'm just going off, I didn't like memorize the points, but you should check it out. It's really interesting.
No, it'd be very cool. I just pulled it up on a tab because that sounds a lot like what I was talking about. And it's we've kind of like granted this idea that Kepler's laws and within the heliocentric paradigm all work, like that they're able to explain um, the solar system. That isn't true. And like obviously we've all kind of known like, well, Mercury doesn't really work and you have the perihelion shift, and then they lied about it and claimed that relativity predicted it and it was actually observed 40 years blah 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 before that. But this is like way worse. This is like the planets don't do what they're supposed to do according to their model, which is wild. And because that's like the go-to we get to is like, well, Newtonian gravity works perfectly to explain the solar system. And yeah. So that sounds a lot like kind of what I'm talking about. Like actually Kepler, I just found that Kepler consistently talked about how Mars was basically giving him a headache and he couldn't figure it out. And he actually concedes that Tycho Brahe had a superior position and he never figured it out. He was never able to explain Mars prior to his death. So,
Well,
yeah.
the Shack dude actually says that Tycho challenged Kepler to explain Mars, and I guess I don't know where he got the source from, but he said Kepler said he could do it in 6 days, and then 6 years later he still wasn't done. Like he could make it work, and just never made it work. Mars is like a huge problem for the heliocentric model because of the crazy difference in distance. They say 41 million miles versus something like 151 million miles away, right? So it's like it should change in angular size something like 16 times. There's like all these issues that they have,
Yeah.
and that they just sweep under the rug. You know how they do it.
Yeah, another one is like so in their heliocentric model, they basically average the period, the duration of the cycle as like 689 days, but it actually changes, right? It goes in like 7-year cycles, and like on the 7th year, the amount of days it's like 150 days shorter or whatever, which shouldn't happen in their paradigm at all. It should just always be the same, and it's not. Um, so yeah, I think it's pretty crazy, right? It's like right under our noses that like literally even just the way the planets move disprove heliocentrism, which I think is pretty cool. That's pretty crazy because everyone can just pop out a telescope, you know what I'm saying? And see it doesn't work. And this is what's so funny about that bet that guy made with me where he's like he chose Mars because that's the only one that it can explain. And it's just extremely ignorant because if you know anything about the history, the reason that someone would do Mars is because if you can explain Mars, like you can explain all of them because it's the most difficult one to project, right? Like, or to predict. So it's just so funny that that guy had it so backwards.
I
Yeah,
know.
and like there's a historical. I mean, from what I found out, I've done like a semi deep dive in how they changed, like in the university system of the time, right, in 1600s. They didn't just like jump on the heliocentric model. They taught the Ptolemaic model like with the heliocentric model together into like the 18th century. They didn't just like abandon one for the other. And the reason that they say in the historical record that they switched is because they wanted a hypothesis on because they didn't have like a dynamic model, right? So the Ptolemaic model is just kinematic, right? It's just we make the observations. Like we're not claiming any of this is real. We have no hypothesis of like what's causing this or causing that. But they wanted that. They wanted that like, you know, the inverse square law of gravity is causing these orbits, right? They wanted that. And there was a particular guy who kind of like had a lot of clout back then in the university system. There's actually a I don't know if this there's like a what's it called? An astronomy family tree, right? So it goes through like all the astronomers and who their teachers were, and you can like go all the way back, like who did Tycho Brahe learn from? Who did Kepler learn from? You can go all the way back to like the 1400s on how, and you can actually see go look up what they wrote, and then see how the system evolved over time, like this heliocentric model.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna fix some breakfast real quick, so I'll be listening, but I'm busy for a second.